Bola Oba's AI video series. This is Lagos. The history of 19th century Lagos is a canvas painted with gunpowder, salt, water, and intrigue, but few objects are as vibrant or resilient as the life of Chief Landuji Oshodi Tapa. His journey from a war-orphaned child in the Nupe hinterland to the supreme war captain and statesman of Lagos is a story of survival, commercial brilliance, and a loyalty so fierce it defined an era. Born around the turn of the 19th century in Bida, in modern-day Niger State, Landuji's life began in tragedy. At the tender age of 6, the fires of tribal war consumed his home and claimed his parents. He was a survivor of the Nupe people, known to the Yoruba as Tapa. Fleeing the chaos, the young boy found his way to Eko, Lagos. Another account claims he was sold into slavery in Lagos. In a stroke of fortune that would alter the history of the island, he ended in the court of Oba Lokun to avoid the grim fate of being sold into the Atlantic slave trade. Landuji was said to have pledged himself as a loyal servant to the king. Ashilokun, sensing a sharp spirit in the boy, placed him under the guardianship of a trusted chief, Fagbemi. It was here, in the shadow of the Igaidugoran Palace, that the Nupe orphan began his transformation into a Lagosian power broker. As Landuji grew, his destiny intersected. Like what you see, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Don't keep the phone to yourself. Share this with a friend. With the global currents of trade, a Portuguese merchant and friend of King Eshilokun approached the throne, asking to take 2 of the king's children to Portugal and subsequently to the Americas to learn the ways of the white man's trade. King Eshilokun, weary of the perils of the ocean and foreign lands, truly decided to protect his biological bloodline. Instead of his own sons, he offered 2 loyal servants, Oshodi and Dada Antonio. This decision, intended to shield the princes, ironically forced Oshodi into a man of the world. Historical accounts suggest he traveled across the Atlantic to Brazil, South America. He returned years later not as a servant, but as a man of sophistication, fluent in Portuguese, and versed in international commerce. Upon his return, Oshodi's new skills made him indispensable. He acted as a commission agent and toll collector for European merchant houses, historically linked to German and Portuguese firms. As ships filled the harbor, Oshodi's wealth skyrocketed through commissions. Yet, wealth did not breed arrogance. He remained fiercely loyal to the royal house that had saved him. His trustworthiness was absolute. He was appointed as the sole chief responsible for the king's wives, granted the rare privilege of entering the Olori's or queen's private apartments for maintenance, a role no other man could hold. After Eshilokun's death, the Lagos dynastic succession descended into violence. Oshodi cast his lot with Eshilokun's sons, first Idewu Ojulari, and finally Prince Kosoko. Kosoko, the rightful heir, was blocked from the throne by the powerful kingmaker Chief Eletu Odibo Oshibile, who held a personal grudge against the prince over a woman. Eletu Odibo instead installed Akitoye as king in 1841. Akitoye, wishing to heal the rift in the family, made a major error. He sent his best man, Oshodi Tapa, to the port of Wida to find the exiled Kosoko and bring him home. Oshodi, commanding a search party with military precision, found Kosoko and brought him back on a merchant vessel owned by the famous slave merchant Jose Domingo Martinez. But peace was fleeting. The rivalry between Kosoko and Eletu Odibo reignited, plunging Lagos into civil war. The conflict reached its zenith when Kosoko's forces, led by Oshodi, crushed Akitoye's defenders. Eletu Odibo was captured and executed. The king, Akitoye, was forced to flee for his life. In one of the most gripping moments of Lagos history, Kosoko ordered Oshodi Tapa to hunt down the fleeing king Akitoye, kill him, and bring back his head. Oshodi tracked the fugitive king to the Agboyi Creek. He had Akitoye cornered. However, staring at the man who was once his monarch, Oshodi's honor overrode his orders. Instead of striking the fatal blow, Oshodi paid homage to Akitoye, praying for his safe journey to Abeokuta. He returned to Kosoko with a lie, claiming Akitoye had used a powerful charm to vanish into thin air. It was an act of mercy that preserved the sanctity of the Obaship. With Kosoko now king, 1845, Oshodi Tapa served as his Abagon war chief, but Akitoye had allied with the British, who sought to abolish the slave trade and install a compliant monarch. In late 1851, the British Royal Navy attacked. Oshodi Tapa's defense was nothing short of brilliant. He had fortified Lagos with stockades and positioned cannons that held off the imperial fleet during the first assault in November. It was a defense described by observers as highly sophisticated. However, in late December 1851, the British returned with overwhelming firepower, setting the city ablaze. Realizing the battle was lost, Oshodi Tapa organized a tactical withdrawal. While they fled in 1851, the conflict continued until August 1853, when a final failed attempt to retake Lagos forced Kosoko, Oshodi, and the warriors to permanently settle in Ekpe. From Ekpe, Oshodi Tapa continued to plague the British-backed Lagos government with commercial blockades, proving that peace was impossible without him. In 1854, a famous peace conference was held at Langbasa, Palava Island. Oshodi arrived with a fleet of war canoes demanding Kosoko's return. When the British consul refused to have two kings in Lagos, they offered to let Oshodi return alone. He refused. If his master could not return, neither would he. It took 8 more years of negotiation. Finally, in 1862, thanks to the relationship between Oshodi and Governor John Glover, the exiles returned. They did not go back to their old homes mainly at Olowobowo area. Instead, Governor Glover granted Oshodi a massive tract of land. Oshodi settled his followers there, creating a town within a town known as Ekpetedo, the camp of the Ekpe returnee. He uniquely laid out the settlement into 21 compounds with his own palace at the center. By the end of his life, the former quote-unquote rebel had become a pillar of the state. In recognition of his efforts to restore peace, Governor Glover presented Oshodi Tapa with a sword at a state ceremony on the Lagos racecourse. It was a gift from the Secretary of State, Edward Caldwell, on behalf of Queen Victoria. The inscription read, presented by the government of Queen Victoria to Chief Tapa in commemoration of the loyal services rendered by him to the government of Lagos. Chief Balogun Landuji Oshodi Tapa died on July 2, 1868, survived by 46 children. True to his progressive nature and his own experiences abroad, he had asked Governor Glover to help educate one of his sons in England. That child returned bearing the compound name Oshodi Glover, cementing the bond between the two families. He was laid to rest in the center of Oshodi Street in Ekpetedo. Today, an imposing monument marks the spot standing guard over the legacy of the orphan or slave boy who became the shield of kings and the architect of modern Lagos. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share this with a friend.
With a style so divine, never missed a party, always first in the line.
Echo Round City. In the heart of Lagos, long before hashtags and influencers, there were kings of the streets, big boys who ruled the 1980s and 1990s. Their swagger, their hustle, their code. Now, for the first time ever, their untold story comes alive. From the pages of an authorized biography to the big screen of your imagination, stay tuned for the book-to-movie premiere of Echo Round City, the authorized biography of one of Lagos's legendary street big boys, streaming exclusively on YouTube.com at Bola Oba from January 1st, 2026. Echo Round City, the legend lives on.